Okay, guys, looks like we are live. Just waiting for Calvin to come back. He had to go make a quick run. Kevlar Condom, how you doing? Thank you very much for joining.
This ain't no holla back girl, ain't no holla back girl. Oh, hey, what's up, Jimmy?
We're live, by the way.
Oh, really? Oh, shoot. Nobody needed to hear me singing Gwen Stefani there.
Say hi to Kevlar Condom.
Hey, what's up, Adam?
He's got the best screen name.
Oh, I know. It's like the one thing I can't say to my parents. They're going to be like, what the heck? We know it's a party here because I got my Mighty Back cup with my Dr. Pepper and my Haagen-Dazs vanilla inside, y'all. So let's get this party started.
I just got my grape Kool-Aid.
Oh, that's so boring. Oh, you sure it doesn't have anything else in it?
It better not. Uh-oh, don't you dare, you stupid computer. Restart required? No. Don't you dare.
I'm not taking over this thing for the next like 30 minutes. Nobody needs to hear me singing along to all my favorite pre-stream tracks.
Leave it to go ahead and start wanting to do a reboot now. That would suck.
We've got Logan in chat. What's up, Logan?
That Cornbiner kid, how you doing? Hey, Logan. Rick is in the house.
Man, we're getting a good crowd here. This is actually seriously impressive. I'm thrilled. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
Oh, man.
How many are in the stream now? There's one watching.
There's 8 watching on my phone.
Okay. Of course, they paused mine, so it shows 9 now.
I was going to say, we have more than one person in chat. Something's a little messed up there, Jimmy.
It would surprise me none.
So I hope the Ultimaker in the background is not too loud for you guys. It's just running a test print for myself that you'll see in a little bit. It sort of pertains to the stream, if you will, so don't worry about it.
Kevlar Condom's alive. He's alive.
Curtis just popped on. He goes, C-Dub and Tidbits.
Tidbits in the house. Hey, where's your maker coin at? You forgot your maker coin.
Shoot. I was too busy singing my song.
I keep telling them, so you need to take and make one. It's got the clock in it. That way you really look like Flava Flav. Well, kind of.
I'm working on that. That's in an upcoming video. Dang it, I can't find the coin. Where'd it go? It's probably downstairs or something.
Oh,
we got second best. We got Giant Marvin.
Oh, my goodness. What happened to his hoop?
I took it off. He's actually. Wow, first I started singing Hollow Back Girl, and then now I'm throwing everything all over the place. This is a great stream start already. No, what I did is a long time ago when I made him, I actually cut him in half. I was going to stick him up on the shelf behind me.
Oh, nice.
So that way he'd sit up against the wall and take up less space, but then it also made it easier to travel with because I didn't need the full thing. But I do want to go back and make a full-size Marvin. So, you know. But I made this one a long time ago. The other thing is, since he didn't have the hoop on the top, I could print him bigger. So that was another bonus because I didn't have to print that whole thing, of which somebody actually modeled one without it, I think. So if I do go back and remake this, which I probably will at some point, I want to do that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Weird.
Carbonator Kid's asking, so Jimmy, when are you going to get a Prusa MK2? If I can ever afford one, I'd get one, but man, that's a jump I want to make, but at the same time, it's going to be a while.
Kevlar Condom just commented, Calvin dragged me in here. So far, I've beetled twice. Job well done. Did I mention that this is actually streamed over my awful home internet through the laptop? So if for whatever reason it dies out, we're going to have to switch back to my cell phone, but I'm trying to see how long we can push the home internet just out of curiosity.
Well, we've been talking back and forth since what, about 10:35 or so?
Yeah, so far so good. I'm also keeping the browser open. I think that might have freaked it out last time, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that could have been. We got Average Joe 3D printing in the house. We got Cat.
Quit cutting me off there, Jimmy, you jerk.
What's that?
You gotta quit cutting me off every time I'm commenting who's in the chat area. That's all.
Okay, go ahead.
No, we knew yet. Don't worry. Okay, do we want to get started on tonight's topic before we just ramble on about drinking Kool-Aid and chatting about people in chat, which is like so much fun to do, but not the topic of tonight's stream.
I forget what is tonight's topic.
You made the title. Darn it! No, tonight's topic is one that I brought up that I'm actually going to be shooting a video on in the next day or two, so I might be pulling some clips from this. Oh my gosh, we got Daniel Niore in the house.
Daniel.
Wow,
now you gotta get the maker coin.
I don't know where the maker coin is. If I go hunting for the maker coin, I might drag you guys along with the laptop, but we'll see. But no, the thing is, tonight's topic is definitely going to be a contentious one. So if you guys, just for the sake of us, we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to jump to chat. So if you guys want to hold off on making direct comments about it until we're done with the talking about it, and then we'll pull questions from the chat, that would be perfect. But tonight's topic is we're going to be talking about why free files are a gift and not necessarily a right in the 3D printing community, which is definitely something that's extremely contentious, just because everybody seems to think that, you know, because somebody designed it, they're self-entitled to it. And I'm not saying everybody is, but there's sadly a vast majority of people, at least that I've seen in the online community, that just seem to think that because somebody's designed something, instantly they're entitled to have the file to it, regardless of even if they need it or not, or if it's even something that should be publicly distributed. You know what I mean? So do you want to start out with your opinion on the whole thing and kind of give some points? We'll do the back and forth like we do.
Well, I kind of understand where some people come from, but I've also been seeing a lot here lately where they'll ask somebody if they can model something, and then they like put a time restraint on it, and they'll be like, I want this, and I want it for free, but I want you to take and model this, and I need it in 2 weeks. And it's like, when it gets to that point, there's so much time, energy, and everything is put into creating a 3D model. And there's different ways of doing it, of course. You know, you got your Tinkercad, you got your Fusion 360, and you've also got the scanning software and the scanners and stuff like that you can do. And all that costs, especially when you get into scanning, that costs money to do that. And for somebody to just come up and say, I want this and I want it now, I can see where somebody could get pretty upset about it. And I understand why some people are starting to go more toward the paid sites where they can get a little something back in return.
No, yeah, it's totally true. I mean, a perfect example is, oops, sorry, the print is black, so it's a little bit hard to see, guys. But this is, I've done another video where I designed the bottom part, but this is the locomotive that I've been doing in a couple of videos on the 30 Days of Design stream. And one thing that I'm probably going to be talking about when I'm done with that 30 Days of Design that Tessa Sparky Base 5 came up with, which is a really good idea because it gets people, you know, doing things, and you don't have to do everything every day. It's perfectly fine. But the thing is, it's like every video that you see me doing in there is a minimum of half an hour's worth of time just in CAD to up to an or more than 1 hour. So it's like this little locomotive right here, which is nothing very complex at all. It just has a little power truck inside and it's hollow inside. Something very simple like this has been through 4 different iterations, and each iteration took about, we'll just say an hour for easy math. That includes printing time, not including printing time, my bad. We'll just say about an hour each iteration, being a little bit, you know, big here with our time frame, but I'm doing that on purpose just for the sake of easy math. So I make one design, I spend about an hour doing it, I spend about another hour printing it, figure out what's wrong, spend another hour modifying it, spend another hour printing it. All of a sudden I have about 8 hours worth of work into this thing, plus the time that it was on the printer, the electricity to run the printer, the filament to run the printer, all that stuff. All of a sudden this little locomotive project has now turned into an 8-hour thing when, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, it's a bad thing that it took a while. I mean, it's just the way it goes, but it's kind of like, the point I'm trying to make is even something as simple as this has got a lot of time and effort into it. So when people run around and act like, oh, well, I deserve free files because I just want free files, it's like, you really don't understand how much time and effort it's gone into doing this. And I have absolutely nothing, I mean, I'm not trying to tell people you should charge money for your files or you shouldn't. It's totally a personal choice here. What you design, if it's your own personal work, is your own personal property, and you can do whatever the heck you want with it. I don't care. But the main point I'm trying to make is it really bugs me when people just seem to run around and act like because somebody designed something, they now are obligated or actually almost forced to share that with everybody who may or may not have the best intentions for it. And I just kind of feel like it's kind of depressing to see that the community has gone from, you know, encouraging each other to, if you feel led, share your work, you know, you're helping the community, to now turning it around to, you'll be blackballed by the community if you don't share your files for free. And it's just like, what the heck happened? You know, that's not the spirit of open source. Not the way that I saw it when I got into 3D printing a long time ago. You know, it's like, it's kind of like just because you can look up how to do something dangerous online does not mean that you should do it. Kind of like if somebody makes a file that's really difficult to print, doesn't mean that you should try printing it and then bash the person when you can't print the file. It's not their fault. It wasn't designed for their machine, or it was just not designed to be printed in the first place. You know.
Well, it's just like that that anti-wobble bracket that I did. That was the very first model I ever created when I got my GTEC, and you know, I figured out why it was have these lines all through it. So I wanted to take and make something to separate the wobble from the gantry portion of it, so it wouldn't transfer to the print. And I can't tell you how many hours I spent on that thing. I mean, I would take and I would. That was before I had a pair of calipers or anything like that. I just used a metric ruler and was measuring everything and trying to get it all figured out. And I probably went 10 different ways of designing it and figured that's not going to work. I'd do it something else, and just went through all kinds of just trial and error with it until finally I came up with the one that I have. And the thing was, whenever I did it, I wanted to do it so that it was sized so that if you bought a GTEC printer, that could be your first print, and you could put the nut inside it, and it would, you know, be a firm fit where it'd fit right into it. You know, it's not something where you'd have to really press it really hard or just be sloppy in it. And so I know it doesn't print exactly right on every printer, because especially if you readjust your printer for the proper steps and everything, it probably won't. But if you have bought a brand new GTEC i3 printer and you printed it, more than likely it's going to be about right. Or if
it doesn't work, it's very easy. You just go in there and you scale the thing up until it, you know, scale up, say 5 or 10%. Print it again. If it's a little bit loose, no big deal. When you get the machine to work again, you can just print one that works perfectly.
Yeah. So I went through all that and got everything all set up that way. And, you know, I was perfectly fine with that. And I remember one of the guys, I mean, I was like maybe within a day I uploaded, and somebody took it and they took it and somehow did some adjustment in some of the software and then re-uploaded it. But the thing is, I didn't. Whenever when I first came up with it, I thought, oh, I should charge for it. And I thought, you know what? I'm new into the 3D printing. I'm new into the community. I don't want to take and start out like that. So the first thing I did is I put it up. I did it so that it reverted back to my video, so if anybody wanted to see how to install it and all that, they could see it. And just kind of like a way of kind of promoting the channel. But
oh, sorry.
Go for it.
Okay. Just peeking over at the chat really fast. I got it running again on my phone. Repcord made a really good comment. He goes, would you say that Thingiverse and other free sites have enabled this insensitivity by setting this expectation of models being free? And then he also just commented, I think you come across a lot of different reasons why people share their stuff. Some to promote their paid stuff, some to focus more on giving back to what they've taken. Yeah, I'll hit on the first point. I think he actually has a very good point about that. You know, I myself, I'll admit, I enjoy free files because let's face it, getting something for free is nice, but I also respect the fact that it's taken somebody a buttload of work to get there. Being that before I got into 3D printing for years, I was doing CAD classes over at Moore Park College near where I grew up. And, you know, when you're trying to do something simple and you don't really know CAD, it takes forever to do it. And even for somebody who's proficient at doing CAD now to doing, you know, the stuff that I do, it still takes a long time. You know, so in that sense, I have a respect for why it takes so long to make something. But I do think he does have a point that websites offering just free files like Thingiverse and stuff, I think when they started out, they didn't have the impression that people were going to be abusing it the way that they were. But he does have a good point. It's kind of, you know, it's like when you hand out, when everybody expects, you know, when everybody's been getting something for free and then the trial period runs out and they're like, oh, wait, you mean I got to pay for something now? It's like, yeah, it was a trial period. It specifically said that, you know. But I think he has a good point, though. I think it kind of set up the that whole mindset amongst people, which is kind of sad actually, because I don't think that's what the people behind Thingiverse initially thought. But it's definitely sad. I mean, I'll put it this way: when I designed my GoPro handles, I put up the very, 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 very first iteration that I came up with, which is absolutely horrible. Like, I look at the thing and go, oh my gosh, I designed that. But I did it as an experiment. I put that one up on Thingiverse around the same time that I put up the original GoPro handle, the better one that's bigger, it's more sleek, everything like that, on PinShape. And the one on PinShape, in about the 9 to 12 months, I think about 9 months that it's been up there, may have been longer, I can't remember. I think it's only gotten like 1 or 2 downloads. That's it. It was like a 99-cent file to download. The reason why I charged that is it literally took me about 6 tries just to get the nuts to fit right with the handle repeatedly. Then it took another like 6 tries to get the O-rings to fit on the handles repeatedly. So I'm already in 12 iterations plus time and materials and effort. So I figured charging 99 cents for the file was perfectly fair. You know, oh yeah, Cat bought that one. I remember. It's like, you know, but then it's like the piece of crap one that I put up on Thingiverse. I don't know how many downloads it's gotten, but it's gotten a lot more, I'll bet, than 2. You know, so I find it interesting, even though I have links in the video and stuff, I found it kind of, and I don't want to sound depressed, I was kind of bummed that I was thinking something that was going to be more popular, you know, it was a 99-cent download. It's gotten like almost no traffic. And I'm not saying that maybe a year from now it won't start to get more traffic, but considering the amount of work that went into it, I also have my current one up for 99 cents, or 99 cents. Like, you know, I figured it's cheaper than buying a song off the internet. Everybody's just like blindly, oh, just buy a song off the internet. It's $1.39, no big deal. It's $1.50, no big deal. You know, I rent a movie off Amazon for $4, no big deal. You know, but then it's like when somebody wants to buy a file, it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta spend $1 to buy that? Oh, I can't do that. And it's like, it's kind of like that double standard almost. It's kind of depressing.
Yeah. There was one model that I've actually paid for. And it was a, what do you call it? Tasmanian Devil. And it was the only one I could find. I could not find it anywhere else. And so I went ahead and I think on that one I paid $10 because I had a friend that really wanted Tasmanian Devil. So I went ahead and it was Taz. So I went ahead and I downloaded it and printed it. And, you know, I still have the file on the computer, but it's not something I'm going to upload or nothing like that. But that's a lot of the problems too, is I think a lot of it has to do with security of your files.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, but if you charge for a file, you feel more secure on it. But at the same time, what happens whenever somebody goes and starts uploading it, especially on an obscure website? I'm not talking on Thingiverse. I'm talking on one that is just popping up to where you don't even know about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the other thing that's kind of frustrating is, you know, it's kind of like you look at it with the music. There's probably a perfect example is the music industry. You know, for years they've been battling against websites like Napster and just like these torrent sites. You know, one person buys a song and somebody throws it on there and everybody comes scurrying and download it. Yeah, it's the same thing. And I think the biggest problem that our digital future faces is that problem of, can we guarantee file security? You know, I'm not saying that necessarily we're going to need to like thumbprint our computer every time we want to go use something, but yeah, I kind of feel like we're getting to that point where for things to be more secure, we're going to have to do that, which is going to be a shame. But if that's what it takes, you know, it sucks. But I definitely see that problem. I think in a sense you could relate the problem that you just mentioned, kind of like just the whole industry of pirating things. You know, it's the exact same thing. You're taking somebody's property, even if you're saying who it's from, you're still, you know, it's definitely a very, 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 very slippery slope. If you know,
it's just like with that bunch that was taking files off of Thingiverse and taking them and selling them on eBay and stuff like that. And that's where I think where a lot of the controversy has come in, because now you've got people who's like, okay, in that case, if this kind of thing is going to go on, I'm going to make it where my file is going to cost. You know, and so it's kind of really kind of hurt the whole intention of the community in the first place. Because I think it all, when the community started up, it was like, okay, love, peace, you know.
At the beginning of the hippie generation, it was all, it actually was about love, peace, and being a community. And then as time went on, you get a bunch of angst-laden teenagers in there and they crash the whole party. You know, eventually everything's going to burn out, but it started out with, not that I stood for what they believed in, but at least they started out as good, you know, people trying to make a different way of life, which I can understand why, you know, that's cool. They actually had decent intentions going into it. And as time went on, they kind of lost their way, and then it kind of just fell on their face. Now everybody just remembers them as the acid popping people doing unspeakable things in the van at Woodstock. not that they actually, you know, pioneered certain things or actually made certain things more mainstream that we now take as mainstream, but back in the day were considered like, oh my gosh, we're offering like free clinics and stuff. What? You know, it's definitely, I kind of feel it's going to be the same way with 3D printing and just this whole industry in general. If people can't stop running around stealing each other's crap and just generally making a bad name for themselves, it's just going to fizzle out and die. Everybody's going to be like, well, what's the point in me uploading a file? What's the point in me designing something if somebody's just going to steal it? You know, and then the other thing that's kind of tricky is that whole eBay printing thing. It's like, if that case gets found in the company that was taking the file side, then what does that mean for the licensing on the files on Thingiverse? Because the big thing is there's no, like, it's not like copyright law where it's set in stone that if you made it and it's a physical item, it's your physical property and people can't infringe upon that. And there's rules about how you have to attribute the person who did it, you know, so it's not plagiarism or it's not copyright. That, you know, there's so many rules about that, but yet for digital files, it's like there's nothing, which is scary just in general. You know, because somebody can argue, well, it's not a physical item. Well, it's like, well, it could become one. You know, it's just so gray. It's actually really scary when you really stop and think about it, because you know, we've had digital stuff for the internet for so long and other stuff, and yet we still can't seem to come up with a hard and fast rule saying, you know, you know what I mean?
I'll tell you what's going to end up happening eventually. It's not something that's going to happen right away, but eventually there's going to be somebody who really come up, really try the waters, you know, and really want to test things out. And they're going to more than likely succeed. And when they do, a lot of the creators, the ones who actually created the files, eventually will do a class action lawsuit. And that's when it's going to really get ugly. And it's not that far off. You watch it, it'll end up happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've already had it happen, like I've mentioned before, with the Pirate Bay over in the Netherlands. They thought that they were free and clear with file theft because they were not in the USA, and therefore they thought USA laws didn't apply to them. Well, you know, or there's Napster, or just all these different file sharing sites that have been shut down or tried to be shut down. Yeah, it's you know, and they weren't, you know, the whole thing, but you know, it's just that whole, yeah, it's the whole, you know, even me, I'm kind of like, crap, what do I say? Because it's such a important topic just for the whole state of our digital world, not just the 3D printing community, of which that's becoming a bigger thing. You know, it's like, gone are the days of a handshake agreement, and when you wrote on paper, I'm going to keep this confidential, it meant I'm going to keep this confidential. Nowadays, people just seem to think, oh, well, it's not a big deal, I'll just share it with like 1 or 2 people, and then it's like rabbits, it multiplies, and all of a sudden it's like, what happened? Oh, I don't know.
Like rabbits.
It's like exponential growth. One person shares it with 2 people, those 2 share. I mean, you know, it's like, it's interesting, but it's definitely interesting. But one thing that I thought was really interesting that my friend JC from the YouTube channel Modified World said, and I'm condensing what he said because I can't find the actual tweet right now, but I asked him because he kind of talks about, you know, when people steal things, or why he doesn't share his knowledge of how to do certain things is because he's worried that people are not going to take it as, okay, he's sharing this, you know, as informative, so we understand why somebody does something this way. They're going to take it and actually steal the knowledge and try and use it for themselves, sort of thing. There's not that respect of, okay, somebody's showing me how, so I understand why this costs what it does. They're showing me how, so I can take and steal and run off and do it myself. You know, and he made a good point that when you're demanding free stuff, you're pretty much just justifying, for lack of a better term, the enslavement of designers, the enslavement of artists, perpetuating the fact that, well, artists for years have not been, you know, given any credit or any popularity while they're alive, then after they're gone or they die or whatever, then everybody loves their stuff. You know, it kind of perpetuates that whole, well, who cares while the artist is alive? You know, who cares if the person, you know, and I'm hideously paraphrasing it, but he pretty much was saying, look, you're perpetuating the whole mindset that designers aren't human, therefore they don't deserve to be paid for what they're doing, and they don't deserve the recognition while they're still here. You know, which was a very powerful but very true point. In my video, I'm actually going to quote it word for word, but he made a very powerful point. Look, when people act like everything should be free, they're not taking into account the effort and the knowledge and the care that somebody put into something to make it, you know.
That's like with, this is going to be a horrible, horrible, horrible thing to say. I refer to a lot of it as like the Oprah mentality. You get a car. You get a car.
No, it's totally true. That's people's mentality.
Everybody gets a car. But what they don't realize is the people in that audience that all got a car were selected to be in that audience to receive that car. Not every show she had, they got free cars. They would get free books. They would get free videotapes. They would get this. They would get that. But not every show got free cars.
Repcord just made a really good comment. I'm just glancing over at chat from time to time to find good stuff. But he goes, it's such a balance for an artist. They're struggling for so long just to get noticed / discovered, and they so often give work away, and it perpetuates the issue further. And it's totally true. You know, it's that catch-22 of you got to make something available for people, but yet at the same time, when you're doing that, are you, you know, getting your work noticed, but then are you also just giving it away for free and not getting anything, you know, for it? It's definitely, it's tricky, and the same with designers. You know, it's like, I remember when Murph was coming up, I was talking to Zoe from Juicy Moose Productions, and I was asking him, because we were talking about like filming stuff, and in his case, he had like the GoPro handle thing. I'm like, dude, just give me your email address. I will send you the files for the GoPro handle, you know, like the old one. So he printed it up and used it with his phone. He loved it. But in his case, I mean, when I uploaded the files to Pinshape with the dollar, I mean, if somebody really wanted the files but they couldn't afford the dollar, I would gladly send them the files. I'm not going to be some jerk to be like, no, send me my dollar, then you get your files. I mean, the main reason why I just put the dollar up there was also I didn't want people all flocking in, downloading it, and then thinking because they got it for free, they could just run off to eBay and sell my design without my permission. You know, so it's like in that case, I was more than happy to, you know, I was trying to drum up interest in the thing. So that's why I was more than happy to give them the files. And, you know, by the time Pinshape and PayPal take their cut, I'm making like probably closer to like 85 cents off the model. So it wasn't like any big hardship, but it's like, you know, even then trying to get something out there for free, it still is kind of, you know, stagnated, if you know what I mean. But it's you know, for me personally, I don't mind giving somebody the files if they can't afford to buy it, if I know that they have good intentions in mind. But I'm not just going to run around to every person who goes, I want a free file, I want a free file, and give them the free file. You know, that kind of defeats the whole point of it, you know.
Who was it on Twitter recently where somebody was wanting a file and or wanted something modeled, and then turned around and got upset because they didn't do it within the time frame?
I don't remember that one. Don't remember who that was.
It's like been within the last week. I remember seeing that on there, and I thought that's just mean.
I think the most frustrating part is, and this is just something that I've noticed from working in the manufacturing sector, especially machining, is everybody seems to think that you can design things in about the time frame that it shows in my hyper sped up videos for the 30 days of design, or anybody else who has a speed video. My gosh, those things are easily, I mean, my videos are easily sped up 500 to 1,000 times actual speed to condense it as small as it is. And even in that, you'll see times where I'll be paused for like a second or two at that crazy fast speed, which probably equates to like a minute or two in real life while I'm measuring something with calipers or thinking it through.
Practical has it. Carmelo.
I was just going to say, I was thinking it was probably him because he does a lot of the design work.
Yeah. And I remember that. And he's like, really? He's right, too, because it's like, it's one thing if it's a paying customer and say, okay, I want this and I want done by this time frame. But to take and for somebody to say, oh, I want this, you know, it's a free job, and then all of a sudden it's like, but I want it by this time. And they get mad because they didn't get it.
I mean, I can understand if, you know, you're collabing with someone and you're trying to meet a certain deadline. That I can understand. That I'm okay with. I mean, I've done things for that with people in the model training community who needed something hopefully by a certain date. You know, it wasn't anything major rush, but, you know, the sooner the better. But they also understood that I have a day life. I take care of my grandmother. I've got school starting up soon. I have a UT chair. They also understood that I don't just sit in front of my computer 20 hours a day with an IV bag full of caffeine to keep myself going, and I crash for 4 hours and wake up again and start designing again. You know, I do this as a spare time thing. But yeah, I think that's the really frustrating part is people just seem to think that you can go, oh, I got a file, I got a print, I got a part. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. It's, you know, this train right here took about 45 minutes to print, and that was at semi-crappy settings at that. You know, nothing, I think part of the problem with our society is we are so used to the now instant that until people really realize just how much work goes into something, I really don't think they're going to fully appreciate why designers charge money and why good designers charge the money that they do and why people who produce things charge the money that they do for an item. You know, it's, you know, you kind of get where I'm going.
Yeah. Well, it's just like with, what's her name? Lobi? Is that right?
Yeah. Ruby.
Yeah. She, you know, she had that model recently where she was asking, I forget, it was like $1, and a half or something like that for the file. And I remember she was starting to get, there's some people trying to do pushback on that. And I told her, I said, I don't begrudge it a bit. I'll pay it.
Well, the other thing is, she was actually, the thing that was really cool about it was the proceeds from that were going to her mom, whose house got damaged by a flood. Okay, right. So if people are pushing back, and I think she was taking like all the proceeds that were coming from that and giving them straight to her mom. I mean, by the time, you know, people on crap took their cut, you know, lost a little bit, but it wasn't like she was holding on to a percentage of it and then shipping off the rest. I mean, it's like if people are begrudging the fact that somebody is selling a model for cheap to try and support somebody, I'm sorry, but you're a scumbag. You don't deserve to be part of the community. And I just said that, and I don't care. But if people are going to be that grouchy over something that's being done as a fundraiser, imagine the crap she would have gotten if she just made a GoFundMe page and said, "Hi, donate money to my mom." You know, it's like people are just cruel sometimes. I think that really, though, I think that shows just how low, not all, thankfully, but a lot of the community that, at least that I've seen recently, has become, and it's really, really quite disturbing, actually.
Well, another one's Maker Muse. Angus, he did that torture cube test. It's been what? It's been several months ago, and he offered it free to his Patreon supporters. And somebody took the file, or took the link to the file, and actually went and broadcast it and said, "Here, if you want it, here." And it's like, no, it was intended for the ones who were his supporters. It was a way of giving back to them. But yet somebody's like, "Here, have it. Here's the code. Go and download it for free."
Where I think it was, you could spend like, I think I paid like $2 or $3. This one scaled down dramatically, and I did it on the Thingomatic, and I wish I had his reaction on camera when I showed it to him. He was literally freaking out that the Thingomatic did it. He goes, "Seriously, that thing did way better than half the printers I'd thrown it on out of the box." I'm like, what? But I mean, I gladly paid like the $2 or $3 to download the thing, partly because Angus is a cool guy, and partly because I thought it looked cool, and partly just because I wanted to have something that was actually a very good torture test to check things on. And I'll admit, that thing is not easy to print.
No, it's not.
No, you know, and it's like the fact that people, you know, will do things like that. It's like, it's sad. It's, you know, it just goes to show, I guess their parents didn't spank them enough as a kid or something like that to teach them right and wrong and common sense, and thou shalt not steal thy neighbor's 3D printing files and post them for everybody to download. We need to make like the 10 commandments of the 3D printing community. But you know, it's like, yeah, it's things like that which are just like, or I never, I don't know if you were there or not, but when you and Beth and Curtis and Heather and Travis and me met up at Rubio's before we went over to the Matter Hacker / Autodesk 3D printing event. That was a fun night.
Oh man!
Oh man! That was so much fun.
I went to work the next day, and I'm like, I can't keep working here. Where did I go wrong in life? Because man, that was a nice place.
That was fun. But the thing is, I forget if you had made it over at that point or not. You were still stuck in traffic, finding parking 20 miles away or something like that. I can't remember. But it was interesting because Curtis was talking to Heather and Travis about their upcoming giveaway thing. And I guess they were having a lot of people. And this is slightly related. It was kind of related to the whole lying about things with Patreon and stuff. But I guess if you're a Patreon supporter, there was a secret code that you could enter to get one more entry, which is fair. You know, I think that's cool. I mean,
bacon.
And I guess they were having problems. Gleam wouldn't know if the secret code that was entered was correct or not. And Curtis was, or I think Curtis was like, yeah, well, what are you guys going to do about that? And they're like, well, we're just going to, if, you know, that method of winning gets picked, we'll double check that against what we know the final code is. But I guess they were having problems with people like leaking the code out to other people and stuff, or people just making it up. And it's just like, really, you want to jeopardize your chances of winning something? Because it's like they could tell if somebody was on the Patreon list or not as well. So they were keeping tally to make sure that it was correct. But it's just like how low are people that they will do such trivial things to try and gain a slight upper hand, but yet at the same time it could totally disqualify them from even winning, and potentially even just get them kicked out of future contests for all they care. You know, it's just like, what is people's problem? You know, it's sad. It's just kind of like this underlying current of nobody has any manners towards each other anymore. It's sad.
It is. Well, it's just like with that 3D printed lion. There was somebody that actually went on there and made up a false account. I was on there trying to double the chances of winning. It's like, really? For a piece of plastic, you're going to take and do that?
You just download your own, or probably, you know, get somebody to print it for you. You know, it's. Chris just commented, common courtesy is no longer common, and that is sadly true. I've noticed it over the years.
Common sense is another one too.
Oh, you mean I shouldn't point the sandblasting nozzle at you and turn it off full blast?
It's like it was on Mythbusters. I watched it, and they were talking about that there's this warning on hammers, and I believe it was Jamie who said, that warning's on there because somebody sued. Like something like, well, you must wear safety glasses whenever you're using a hammer or something like that. Yeah. Somebody sued, and that's the reason why that warning's on there.
It's like, it's slightly not related, but it's kind of related to the common sense thing. I enjoy watching the back and forth banter of like pro safe streets, and I'm putting it in quotes because it's total crap if you ask me, people versus common sense people who want to just get around the city in a decent amount of time and don't want the fire department to take half an hour taking the winding route to get to the dang house because nobody thought it was smart to make straight streets anymore. But the interesting thing is, some municipality in Oregon reposted this video that I can understand it could be interpreted as being in slightly bad taste. But what they pretty much did is they made a video about, don't be a distracted pedestrian crossing the street, and don't assume that cars are just going to stop for you. And oh my gosh, the people roasting them in the comments. I actually commented, wow, congratulations. Somebody actually is showing that we shouldn't assume that it's safe to go, and we should just double check, because like 2 seconds of double checking can save your life. And it's like, I mean, yes, the car should stop, and yes, you should have right of way, but that doesn't mean you're always going to have it. You know, common sense is like non-existent anymore. When I go driving through the Mission to get back from Lowe's, you know how many times I have to dart around people just running across the middle of the street to try and get to their Uber driver. And I'm just like, I really want to mow you down, but that's illegal. Gosh darn it, because you're stupid. You know, they don't even look. They're just like, ooh, go get my Uber. Like staring at the
Kevlar
phone. I'm like,
condom. We don't all drive Teslas. I love your car, Kevlar. I tell you what, I love that car. The secret sauce.
but no, it's like common sense anymore is not common, and it's frustrating. You know, nobody wants to take responsibility for anything anymore. They just want to blame somebody else. And I'm not saying that every single incident is A party or B party's fault, but it's just like everybody wants to assume somebody's going to look out for them so they don't have to look out for themselves. And it's just like, it doesn't work like that. You're responsible for your own stupidity.
Well, Calvin, you might as well start kicking on over to the chat.
Sounds good to me. Rick goes, Tesla, wasted space in Fremont.
Oh, come on. Every time I go past a Tesla, I keep telling Beth, someday.
I can't say what, but I may or may not have made parts that may or may not have made parts for a Tesla at my old job. That's all I'm going to say on live stream.
I've got a friend whose brother-in-law works there.
Oh, nice.
I know. It's like, can I get a job?
When I was at my parents' house, because they actually have cable, which is amazing. I was watching some show about like different stuff, and they were showing the Tesla factory in Fremont, and I'm just like, oh boy, oh man, that place looks nuts. What? Oh man, like literally, I mean, this place looks like some factory in Japan. You know, It's super clean. It's got all this automated machinery. It's like, oh, this is in Fremont, and you go driving by the place, and you're like, what, they make Teslas there? It's like this. It's like nothing. Tesla factory. Nothing. Hayward.
I used to always go up to the Great Mall, and I remember back when I believe it was a Toyota. I believe had it before, and I remember driving past there the first time ever I looked over and saw it was Tesla. I'm like, they make them there.
One of the train conductors that I know, he owns a Mustang, but he was able to test drive a Tesla because they were like dying to get people to at least try them out. Kind of like, you know, yeah, you can just test drive it. It's totally cool if you can't afford one. We're just trying to get people to try it out, so they tell people about it. And he was telling me, he goes, you get that thing on the freeway and you put your foot down, and he goes, it just screams. He goes, it's insane. He goes, it makes my Mustang look slow. And I'm like, your Mustang looks slow? Oh, wow, that must be fast. Rick said Tesla made a UPM leaving Union Pacific, leave Fremont. I don't like the car. Okay, fair enough. Oh, Brandon Langdon just jumped on chat.
Oh, sure enough. How you doing, Brandon?
Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Rick. I'm assuming based off UP and being a train guy myself. But of all the things I've driven, a Tesla would be fun to drive.
I have never driven an electric powered car, not even a Prius.
I have rode in a Chevy Volt before. It's spooky how quiet they are.
You know, they were talking at one time about doing some kind of thing where it has to make some kind of a noise because they had so many pedestrians getting hit by these things because they just step out because they don't even know what's coming.
Yeah. Well, the other problem is for deaf people when they're trying to cross the street, they can tell approximately how close they are to a vehicle by the engine noise. That's the other thing. It kind of helps them maintain their distance and direction in a crosswalk. And I guess they were actually having problems walking into vehicles, hybrids and electrics, because they couldn't hear it. So, you know, they start walking off course and they go, you know, bump into it, which must be kind of unnerving. You know, it's...
Chris is saying Prius isn't a car. Record Prius doesn't count. I was funny because I was talking to my friend, one of my friends today. He's talking about getting a new car, and I'm just joking around with him because he used to have a Mustang, and then he recently got a Lexus. Well, now the Lexus is getting an oil leak, and it's time to get me a new car. I'm like, oh, are you gonna go back and get a Mustang? no, I think I'm going to go to the dark side. I said, what, a Prius? He goes, no. He says, if I do that, I might as well just get them cut off because there's no way anybody's going to want anything to do with me.
Oh, that hurt.
Yeah, I'm like, ouch. I take it you don't like a Prius.
I'll put it this way. If you're a delivery driver in San Francisco or LA or somewhere where you're doing stop and go all the bloody time, a hybrid car is very efficient. If you're like me and you drive 400 miles to go visit your parents in SoCal, hybrid car is not for you.
Nope.
So for all you hybrid car people driving 400 miles each way to go to work and back, buy a Geo Metro. You'll do the environment so much better.
Yeah, I get a kick out of looking at the mileage on those things because they're like, oh, it gets 55 miles in the city and
10
like 40 on the highway.
My Honda, with about the equivalent of probably 3 people's worth of weight and it pulling about 70 to 75 on 101, going to my parents and back, averaged about 33 to 35 miles to the gallon. That's in a 96 Civic DX 4-cylinder. So when I see cars from this era pulling those numbers, I go, my 96 does that. Suck it.
Exactly.
Oh, my 96 has a lot of power too for what it is. Unlike my 96 Mazda Protege that's got like no power whatsoever. Oh my gosh. It's horrid. Oh, Kevlar Condom just commented, Calvin still needs to set up our date to do N-scale railroad tracks. Oh, that sounds like fun.
That would be.
I love doing model train stuff.
Do it. Rick says, you go, you go, you go. I have a friend that back when I was in high school, his parents had an RV and they wanted to find a car to tow behind it. So they got themselves a Yugo. Yeah, I mean, they're like brand new at the day was what, 3,500, brand new, fully loaded, as much as you could load up a Yugo, I guess. And so they go and they put it behind their motorhome and they take it all over the place. So one day they go to leave and they're going down the road. All of a sudden they look back and here's just parts. Somebody left it in gear. Just completely tore the transmission, the engine, everything just ripped out of it.
Ouch.
I think they spent more money fixing it than what the car was worth.
That sucks.
And now I don't even think you can even get parts for them now.
Probably not.
I don't even think you can find them at a junkyard.
Wouldn't be surprised. Hey, Kevlar Condom, check it out. Hand-laid N-scale track. You like it? Huh? Yeah.
You're going to get me banned. That's like railroad porn, right?
Totally is. You know, I don't care.
He's like, I'm not on my channel.
Yeah, look at that. It's shiny. Is that tricking you, Jimmy?
Shiny.
Okay, it's actually just a piece of PC board that got cut in a circle.
Come on, flash me again. Come on.
Jimmy, cover your eyes. Oh. In the words of Danielle from the GoPro handle goofy video, you know you want it, and you know you need it. Yeah. Another wonderful ad-lib, one take wonder.
Kevlar says that's so nice. A briefcase build.
Yeah, effectively, it's tiny. I don't have a ruler with me, but I think it's under 12 by 24 inches. It's a 2-module setup, so it's 2 pieces that are put together. It's ON18, which is 1/48 scale on N-scale tracks, so it roughly models an 18-inch narrow gauge, which would be used in like an industrial setting or something like that. So it's cool, and it's actually what the locomotive that I was showing earlier is for.
Why couldn't you do it in a briefcase?
I don't have a briefcase. So if you want to send me a briefcase, I will do a layout in briefcase. Actually, I have a box that I'd love to do one in, but briefcase would be cooler.
Yeah, it would.
Just because a briefcase is like something nobody ever thinks of to build something, or at least put the modules to fit in the briefcase. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, you go to one of your shows and just go plump.
Well, I actually have. I'm going to be starting to release the videos probably in the next few weeks when school starts up. So I've, don't totally run out of content while I get into the gears of school. But I've actually got some scrap pieces of corkboard material that I got from a friend who's gracious enough to loan us his shop space on the weekends, so the model train club I belong to can set up space. He had some scrap that he was going to get rid of and let me take. So I'm actually building a small switching layout on that I'm going to take to shows and then show to people and be like, hey, look at what you can do in a small space. And I did this using scrap material, and you can do it for cheap with stuff that you can pick up anywhere. Somebody releasing some videos on that, which would be cool.
Okay, so Z-scale. What size is a Z-scale?
I believe it's 1/220th scale. Let me look it up really fast to make it sure. I don't know if you guys saw the it's 1/220th scale. A long time ago, I posted a photo of a dime next to a little rail car. That was Z-scale. That stuff is like neurotically tiny. I mean, it's insanely tiny. There are people who will model NN3, which is roughly 3-foot scale, using N scale stuff, which is 1/160th scale, which is what the track on that is. Z scale is like fiendishly tiny stuff. It's ridiculously tiny, but I think N scale is kind of the practical limit in my opinion. Anything below, unless you're doing narrow gauge in that scale, is just too tiny.
Brendan says it's 1/220.
It's ridiculously tiny. The scale that I'm modeling in is 1/48th scale. To give an idea, next I'll have to retweet the photo out. It's insane how tiny it is. I remember when they came out with it years ago, looking at it going, who the heck models in that? And to this day I go, who the heck is modeling in that? Kevlar Condom said an inch in N is 11. Don't know. Oh, Repcord just said !! Point at #Pico Printing. I am seriously about ready to throw my 0.2 nozzle out the flipping window.
That's insanely small.
I have printed with a 0.25 nozzle, and I'll admit, it's cool the stuff that you can do, but buy a resin printer. Get ready for this, Jimmy. I have seen 0.1 millimeter nozzles for sale.
How does that even work?
I don't know.
I can't even wrap my mind around that one. I have a hard enough time with a 0.4.
Same here. I mean, I kind of feel like, I guess, I'll put it this way. A 0.3, I can kind of understand.
Yeah.
It's kind of a go between. You can get some smaller detail stuff, all that. But yeah, 0.25 is ridiculous.
Then you're just talking to any little flake of dust on your filament and you get a clog.
Pretty much. I mean, I don't even have my 0.25 nozzle, which I used a handful of times. But for the amount of frustration and work and time and effort it takes to change nozzles, reset my layer heights and all that stuff, I'm just better off sending the stuff out to be professionally done anyways.
I wanted to get a 0.6.
That's dangerously fun.
Just drill it out.
You know what I really wanted to do, just for the heck of it, is make a 2.8, like a 2.5 millimeter nozzle, just for the heck of it, for doing clear printing.
Just
that was cool.
Filament straight through.
Actually, I want to have a little bit of a, not just make it straight filament. I actually want it to be slightly smaller, so it forces the filament to melt. But that would actually be really cool for printing in clear stuff like the PCTG, which I have in here, which is really clear. That would be fun for clear stuff, because I can make flat things that are relatively clear. I just can't make tall things that look nice and clear with a 0.4 nozzle, sadly.
Rick, I'd choose an ANET with a 0.1 millimeter nozzle over a Tesla.
Dude, that is hardcore right there. You tell me you're also going to do like a full size, you're going to do a Joel size print on that thing? Oh, I'm just going to like ANET the thing. Max build size. 10 weeks later. Oh, it's done with the first layer of the raft. Tinkering Corner says a volcano with a 2 millimeter nozzle. Oh, that would be nuts.
That would be.
My old job had a 3D printer with a volcano with a 1.2. Oh, daddy, that thing could print fast. The only problem is the machine like never got used. But I do have to say, if you're trying to do big prints, a volcano takes a bit of work to get set up because you actually have to kind of feed the filament through faster than you would think. Because of the huge heat zone, if you have moisture, it'll actually start to bubble out. You actually have to kind of force it through there quickly. But man, the speeds and strength you can get with that is insane. Even if you're just running the same size nozzle that you normally do, the speeds that you can get and the, you know, the really good melting because of that giant heat zone, it's nuts.
Man.
If I had to build a large format printer, which I'm not going to be doing, I tend to stick with small stuff because that's mostly what I print with. I would totally put, even if it was just running a 0.8 nozzle on there, or even a 0.4, I'd totally put a volcano on there and sacrifice a little bit of Z just for the increased print speed, you know, that you can get. Tinkering Corner also said, got to be careful that your extruder motor doesn't get too hot, which is true because you're having to dump a lot of current. I think that's a good example of where a geared extruder might be not a bad idea. And by geared, I mean gearing it, big gear on stepper, little gear on the filament, and then running just a bigger, like a longer stepper for the extra torque. So that way it doesn't have to spin as fast, the stepper, to chug the filament through, instead of the reverse where it's, you know, more torque. But you know, that would that'd be interesting because there is an upper limit to how fast a stepper can run before you just lose all torque on it.
Yeah.
That's kind of their problem. Although one thing I will say that I'd really actually love to see is in the future, and I think Sexy Cyborg Naomi actually posted up about this a while back, that printer that had the feedback encoders on the steppers. Somebody actually kicked the head out, it detected it instantly, stopped printing, went back, like rehomed or something, and went right back to printing where it was at. I'd actually love to see, I think the next big step would be some kind of feedback loop on the printer system, either on the definitely on the extruder to detect skipping, and also on the X, Y, and Z axes. So in case anything goes wrong or something skips or the nozzle gets caught and it loses a couple of steps, it's intelligent enough to detect that, and then it can hopefully correct itself and get right back on with the show. Because that's what big modern day CNC machines use, is they at least have an encoder on the drive motor, and then more of the precise machines will actually have a linear scale to go along with that, so it knows precisely where it's at in three-dimensional space. It's not cheap, but it's really cool. Tinkering Corner said, the Titan is really good because it has 2 hob gears. Yeah, that one's interesting. I wanted to do a Titan Arrow hot end on the Thingomatic behind me for Z space, but me budget don't allow. Sadly, I wish, but I really don't feel like spending $150 on a hot end. Sadly.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's really nice, but I already dumped 80 bucks on an E3D, which is really nice. It's just a lost a bit of Z, sadly. But I'm probably going to make up my own like MK10 style hot end using some of the E3D components like the heat block and the thermal break, and then just make my own mount and heat sink and call it good. Which should work fine. You know, a little less classy, but I don't care. Well, do we want to call the stream here because we're both like fading fast?
Oh man, I've had a day and a half, so
I had to bust out the good old
past 3 weeks have been like a roller coaster.
Oh, I know. I honestly, I feel for you, dude. I don't know if you want to talk about it on here, but my condolences, dude. Yeah, we both go through our own trials off camera.
Oh yeah, I don't want to down the stream, so it's all good.
Don't want to end on the bad note.
Exactly.
Me coming in and singing like an idiot.
Let's just say everything's doing better at the moment, so that's the main thing.
I hear you. Yeah, for me, I'm just kind of like mentally trying to get back up trying to get my energy back up, and I'm like, do this. Oh, good, I'm getting my work area cleaned up. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, stream tonight. Shoot.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining. Calvin, thank you very much for coming on here, man.
Thanks for having me on, dude. I hope the quality for everybody wasn't too bad over my bad internet connection. Sadly, good internet is probably still a couple of years out in my neighborhood, which is totally lame. There ain't a whole lot I can do about that.
Hey, you know what? You're streaming a whole lot better this week than you did last week. It's looking really good.
Well, that's good. I could kind of tell it seemed to be doing better this time. So I guess I'll just keep using the laptop, but I have my cell phone as backup just in case.
Yeah, your voice only went robotic once there for maybe about 5 seconds on my end of it, at least.
It's not bad, especially considering that on my end I'm seeing you as HD. Which is a way that I could set the quality lower, but oh well.
I'm coming through as HD?
That's what it says at times on my end.
Sweet.
Not all the time, but some of the time I notice if you're talking a lot, moving a lot, the quality goes down because that's to try and send more data. But in general, I mean, for me mostly I just need to hear the audio, but I don't know if there's a way that we can work that. But whatever, if it's working, that's what matters.
Yeah, eventually we'll switch over to trying it with the OBS and all that, but for now this seems to be working.
For sure. I wish I could host it on my end, but sadly that's kind of a no-go because of internet. So, oh well.
Actually, we could try it because it's from the way I understand it, since it's hosted through Hangouts. Really, it shouldn't bother you at all on your end of it.
You know what? Let's try doing that next stream, or maybe if we have time during the week ahead of time, we can do like a private live stream, and we can like live stream for 10 minutes or something, and then go check the footage and make sure it's decent. Because I'd love to do like we talked about in the past, with alternating it week to week. But obviously, if internet's going to be an issue, we don't want to do that. I don't want to be sitting in SFO for like an hour and a half blabbing while 10 janitors go by in security street. What is that idiot doing? Oh shoot, Bart, stop him, stuck.
What's he doing talking to himself again? He always comes in here once a week talking to himself for an hour.
But I'm like running towards Bart, like, I gotta get straight home.
Well, guys, thank you very much for joining. Have a great night. And you have any plans for any videos coming up this week?
Let's see. I've got I've already got the epoxy granite video out. I've got that done. I'm gonna have my personal video talking about why free 3D printing files are a gift and not a right, kind of like what we talked about here. And then I got some other stuff in the pipeline. I'm probably gonna be building light stand. Maybe got some more CNC machining stuff. And I've definitely got some more 30 days of design stuff coming up. So keep your eyes on that.
Sweet. I've got nothing.
Wrong answer. You got like 10 videos planned, dude.
There's videos planned, but I got nothing. So what I'm probably going to do, I actually, my aunt talked to me yesterday. Her grandchildren, they had this dog as a Labrador retriever, and he got bit by a rattlesnake. and so they end up having to put their dog down. So they're wanting me to print one of those dogs I've been printing, except as big as I can do it on my i3.
Ooh,
So I might just go ahead and just film that and throw it up. I know it's not going to get any views, but
no, I think that'd be cool. Showing, I think it'd actually be an interesting one because
that's all, folks.
kind of like you in the Sam last video. Oh man, I always mess up my lines on camera. Totally puts that in there because it was just like totally gold material that we could actually post. No, I think it'd actually be interesting if you showed, like, at least in the slicer, how for a model like that, maybe you'd like eliminate the base layers if they're not needed. You could kind of show like how infill affects print time, or just, you know, ways to cut your print time and materials when doing a big print like that. And also, you know, not that I wish for it to fail, but if it does fail, it would look epic, and you can maybe explain why, but let's hope it doesn't. But no, I think that would actually be, even if it's just a quickie video. Hey guys, I'm printing up this dog for my friend, my relative, because their dog died and their kids want to print. And I just print the print, and here we go. Looks great. Have a nice one. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out my videos and check out my Patreon because y'all are cool. Bye. You know, I think that'd still be cool. At least it's something.
Yeah, I'm all good with the quickies.
Honestly, I think there's actually something nice about having quickie videos interspersed with longer ones. If somebody wants to just watch a quickie video, they can watch a quickie, but if they want to watch a long one, they can watch a long one. It you know, it kind of caters to both markets without just being, I just do 30-minute videos, or I just do 1-minute videos. You know, I think it's just the thought. I mean, it's totally your prerogative. You're calling the end, but that's a thought. And then this Saturday I'm going to be down in South San Jose with my Model Train Club homies. So I'm hoping to get some footage film some episodes and some time lapses about the Model Train layout, and explaining kind of like my modules that I have on the layout and that sort of thing. And maybe if I'm lucky, I can get one of the guys to say his infamous line, "Hey Richard, can we start running trains already?" Which is code for "Shut up, team electrician, we need your help already." Perks of being with people like minimum 3 times, 2.5 to 3 times my age. It's joy unspeakable. I'm kidding. We all have a blast.
Yeah, I'm going to take in about 10 seconds here. I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to put this in place of that camera, bring my printer up here, and start that print going. So
sounds like a plan. Okay,
my friend. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for visiting. And
you too. It's been a blast as always.
Do it again next week.
Stinking yeah.
Providing everything goes good.
Provided I don't die of food poisoning in the next week or something, or I don't blow myself up, yes, I will be here.
Just keep you out of the ocean. We should be good. We might lose you.
Oh, that's horrible. How much did y'all pay you to say that?
Danielle's going to send me the check in the mail. You guys have a good one. Have a good night. Take care.
Bye.